Hello everyone, welcome to Understanding ECG series part 2. In this video, we will try to discuss about the 12 lead ECG and how the ECG has evolved over time. Normally in our clinical practice, we will use 12 leads to record the ECG. Out of these 12 leads, there are 3 bipolar leads and 9 unipolar leads. In the previous video, we have seen how a bipolar lead works. It contains 2 electrodes, one positive and one negative, and these are connected to the limbs. If I ask you how many poles will be there in a unipolar lead, and if you tell it is 1, then you are completely wrong. Unipolar lead also contains 2 electrodes. Out of these, the positive electrode is called as the exploring electrode and the negative electrode is called as virtual or null electrode. We will see the importance of virtual or null electrode. We will see how this negative electrode or virtual electrode is constructed in our further discussion. These unipolar leads are 9 and out of them 3 are unipolar limb leads. They are connected to the limbs, and 6 are unipolar chest leads. They are connected to the chest. If you ask me, why we are using these many leads to record the ECG, then let me tell you with an example. If a person who is standing in front of me and if I have any wound on my back, he cannot see it, right? If I ask you how am I, he'll tell I am completely fine. If any person stands on my side, he cannot see my front, he cannot see my back, but he can see the side of my body very well. In the same way, if you want to record the ECG, if you want to see all the parts of the heart, all the dimensions of the heart, we will put electrodes in all these directions, and also we will keep some leads which can see the inside of the heart, that means which can travel inside the plane or in the horizontal plane. And these 12 leads work like that. These limb leads may be unipolar or bipolar. They will see the heart in a frontal plane, and these chest leads will see the heart in a horizontal plane. For example, consider this as a heart. The limb leads will see the currents which are going in this direction. This is the frontal plane, and the chest leads will see the heart in the horizontal plane. In this way, these 12 leads will record the electrical activity which is there in the heart in all the directions, and if there is any pathology in this heart, these 12 leads will help in detecting those things. Okay, let's see how the ECG has evolved over time. In and around 1900s, there is a scientist called as Mr. Einthoven, who is also called as the pioneer of electrocardiography studies, placed 3 leads around the heart, and these 3 leads is called as the Einthoven's triangle. It is very important for us to know the placement of these leads. The first lead is the negative electrode kept at the right arm and the positive electrode kept at the left arm. This acts as the first lead. Lead 2 is negative electrode kept at the right arm and positive electrode kept at the left leg. And the lead 3 is negative at the left arm and positive at the left leg. If somebody asks you what is the axis of the lead 2, it is this one, and the axis of lead 3 is this one, and the axis of lead 1 is this. And then around 1930s, there is another scientist called as Wilson. He wanted to see the heart from the bottom. That means he wanted to see the heart from this direction. Lead 2 is seeing in this direction, lead 3 is seeing in this direction, but he wanted to see the heart in the bottom direction, from bottom to top. For that, he has to achieve one more lead. To achieve one more lead, generally we have to put 2 electrodes, that is positive here and negative here. But he doesn't want to place an extra lead. He wanted to use those leads which are kept by the Einthoven, and he wanted to generate one more lead. For that, he has to require 2 electrodes. One is the positive and one is the negative. He wanted to put the negative electrode as a virtual electrode, and he will place an exploring electrode wherever he wants to get the other leads. We will see how this happens. What he did was, he kept equal negative charges in the right arm, left arm and left leg. Whenever equal charges are placed in an equilateral triangle, the center of the heart will become almost 0, and this is called as Wilson's central terminal, or the center will also act as a virtual electrode. Now he has achieved a virtual electrode. He has an electrode kept in the center of the heart. He can place a positive electrode wherever he wants, and that positive to negative will act as an axis. So this new positive electrode is also called as exploring electrode, because this electrode can be placed anywhere he wants. For example, if the electrode is placed on the chest, the axis of the lead will become from this chest point to center of the heart. This acts as a chest lead. If you put it in the right arm, it will act as a limb lead. For example, if the positive terminal is kept in the left leg, the axis now becomes this one, and this is also called as VF. If the positive is kept at the right arm, this lead now becomes VR. If the positive is kept at the left arm, now this new lead will become VL. F means foot, R means right arm, and L means left arm. This V letter indicates this lead is measuring the potential difference between the exploring electrode and the Wilson central terminal, or the virtual electrode which is created at the center of the heart. The problem with this is, wherever we kept a positive electrode, there is a negative electrode nearby. The presence of the positive electrode and negative electrode at a very small distance will make the potential difference very negligible. That means the voltage recorded by these leads will be very less. He can barely see these waves in the ECG. Now he wanted to augment the voltage which is created by these leads. He wanted to increase the voltage. To increase that, there is a new scientist called as Goldberger, where he proposed another method where this is called as Wilson central terminal, where negatives are equal negative charges are kept in the equilateral triangle. What he did was, whenever he is measuring the VF, he made this negative as 0. What happened is, now the lead cannot look this side, it cannot look this side. No, the new lead will look at the center of these two leads, and this new lead is called as AVF. A denotes augmented and VF denotes the positive electrode which is measuring the potential difference against a virtual electrode. And if he is measuring the potential difference from this point towards the center of the heart, he removed this negative charge. What happened? The new negative electrode will be created here, and this lead will become AVL. And when he is measuring from the right arm, this negative is become 0, and the new lead will be called as AVR. By doing augmentation, he increased the voltage by 50%, and this new leads waves are seen properly in the ECG. Okay, first let me orient you to this diagram. What is lead 1? It is present between the right arm and left arm. Lead 2 is between right arm and left leg. Lead 3 is left arm and left leg. AVF is the point between the right arm and left arm to the foot. AVR is the point between left arm and left leg to the right arm, and similarly AVL. This is the depolarization wave or the current passing through the heart. Now let me tell you a very basic point, guys. The amplitude of the QRS complex, which is depicted by a particular lead, will depend on how much this lead sees this depolarization wave. Lead 2 will see this wave to the maximum. That is why the amplitude of QRS here in lead 2 will be maximum. Then when we come to AVF, this is the AVF and this is the depolarization wave of the heart. This lead will see this depolarization wave lesser than lead 2. So the amplitude of the QRS will be lesser than the lead 2. When we come to lead 3, this will see lesser than AVF itself. So here the amplitude will be lesser than AVF. So when you compare the amplitudes of lead 2, AVF and lead 3, it is 2 greater than AVF greater than lead 3. Now you can understand why this is happening. No? When we come to lead 1, this will see this depolarization wave very minimal. So the waves will be very small. In the same way, the AVL also, the waves will be very small. This is lead 1, this is AVL. And finally, when we come to AVR, the direction of AVR is towards this side, and the depolarization wave or the current through the heart is this side. When the direction of the lead is opposite to the direction of the depolarization wave, we will record negative ECG waves. So in a normal person, the waves depicted by AVR will be negative. Okay, now let's see how to draw the hexaaxial representation of these limb leads. It is nothing but we are drawing the axis of 6 limb leads. Here the axis of lead 1 is taken as 0. Then lead 2 will be at an angle of 60 degrees. This is lead 2. When we bring this lead to this side, it will become 120 degrees. Lead 3 will be at an angle of 120 degrees. To draw the augmented limb leads, we will see what lead is perpendicular to which lead. AVF is perpendicular to lead 1. So AVF is perpendicular to lead 1. This is the direction of AVF at 90 degrees. All the values here will be considered as positive and the values in this direction will be considered as negative. AVL is perpendicular to lead 2. AVL is perpendicular to lead 2. So AVL will be in this direction and it will be, the angle will be minus 30 degrees. This is AVL. AVR is perpendicular to lead 3. AVR is perpendicular to lead 3. And the angle is minus 150 degrees. This hexaxial representation is very important when we are trying to determine the axis of the ECG. When it is left angle deviated or right axis deviated, this hexaxial representation will be very useful to us, which we'll be discussing in the further chapters. Now let's summarize the core points which you have to remember. First is lead 2 will see the depolarization wave to the maximum. So the amplitude of the lead 2 wave will be more. Then the amplitude will be more in AVF. Then the amplitude will be more in lead 3. Lead 1 and AVL, which are located in the top, will not see this wave so much. So in lead 1 and AVL we will see small waves. And finally the lead AVR, which is opposite to the direction of the depolarization wave in the heart. So in lead AVR, naturally we will see negative waves. Now did you understand why we see negative waves in the AVR? Why we see bigger amplitudes in the lead 2 and then AVF and then lead 3? Okay guys, now I request everybody to open a normal ECG paper and try to appreciate all the things which we have discussed till now, like the negative waves in the AVR, the higher amplitude waves in the lead 2, etc. And I bet you will never forget this in your life. And in the next videos, we will be discussing about the chest leads and how to determine the axis in the ECG. If you guys understood this video, thank you. If you guys have any doubts, please mention those in the comments or please DM me.